everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Redox podcast. My name is Russell Mariani, and my co-host is Mark Porteous. And we have a very special guest today, Alan Noble, who needs no introduction to people who are familiar with ASEA Redox, but many of you will be seeing this for the very first time or learning about ASEA Redox for the very first time. So we have a wonderful bio listed on the site there. And of course, we will have Alan share with us about his ASEA Redox experience. But the purpose of the Redox podcast is to provide interesting answers to three basic questions. And those questions are, what are redox signaling molecules? Why are they so important? And question number three, which we will spend some time with today, how does this ASEA Redox breakthrough create transformational opportunities for wellness entrepreneurs around the world and any open-minded entrepreneur? So with that, we're going to dive right in with our special guest, Alan Noble. Alan, tell us where you are today after 17 years on your ASEA Redox adventure, and then we'll segue back to the beginning because we know it wasn't quite like the way it is today.
No, interesting. You're starting backwards. We're going backwards in this. Okay. Most people say, "Hey, where were you when you stumbled across ASEA?" So I like this. I guess maybe we should just start. You've probably got it written in the bio, but I am originally from Ireland. I always say that up front in case people are thinking, is that an Alabama accent? What are we listening to here? So I am originally from Ireland. I've spent half my life in Ireland, half my life in the United States. I'm kind of right at that halfway place. But I'm super grateful to be on this show with yourself, Russell, and Mark. Thank you for the invite. I am passionate about what we're talking about here today. I've been on this amazing journey. I call it the Great ASEA Adventure for 17 years. And it's truly been life-changing, both physically and financially. I guess where am I today? One of the best ways for me to say that is show you this beautiful glass bottle of ASEA. It's quite heavy, actually. I do my bicep curls with this thing, you know. But this is an award that is given to those that have been able to accumulate over $10 million in income from ASEA. And, I hate to say things like that. I don't want to boast and brag. Oh, hey, look at me. We've other $10 million income earners in ASEA. With many $1 million income earners in ASEA. But truly, this has impacted myself, my family's life financially in a way that, truly has been life-changing. And we've been able to do it where I say that the size of your ASEA commission check is a direct reflection of lives changed. It's about making a living while making a profound difference in people's lives. There's all sorts of ways to make money. We all have to make money. We got to put a roof over our heads, food in our kids' bellies, clothes on their back, hopefully have some left over to make some great memories in life. But I truly believe the ASEA dollars that we earn are the most valuable dollars you can earn because they represent lives changed. And before we get into kind of, what is redox signaling, I just want to pause for a minute and show you a little clock and pen set that I have on my desk as a reminder. And I don't know with these blurred camera screens, you can read that if I can get that.
Thank you for saving my life.
It says, thank you for saving my life. And, here I am with the clock and pen set. It says the wrong time. I need to change the batteries. But the clock and pen set, and it says, thank you for saving my life. And I keep it here as a reminder because I'm not a policeman, I'm not a firefighter, I'm not an ambulance driver, I'm not a paramedic, I'm not a brain surgeon, a heart surgeon. What on earth is some guy with an Irish twang to his accent sitting talking on Zooms? How can I have this on my desk? Well, it's because when I'm talking on Zooms, I'm bringing one of the most powerful health technologies into people's awareness. I consider myself in educational marketing, and I've spent 17 years educating people around the world the power of what we're going to talk about today. And so this lady, it was one of those weird situations. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in coincidences. In fact, if someone's listening to this today, it's not a coincidence. You're not here by coincidence. It's a coincidence, and you've got to grasp those coincidences. But this lady was, she was fading away, in her words. She was standing in front of the refrigerator, not remembering why she was there. She'd get in her car and couldn't remember where she was going. Finally, things would click in. She'd go somewhere, not remember how to get back home again. And I said, in her words, she was fading away. She was on her hands and knees that night praying for a solution. And her words were, God, you know what I'm looking for. Send it to me. I had her business card in my wallet or in a box somewhere. I had her business card, and I had met her in a previous entrepreneurial venture. We didn't really remember each other, but we had business cards. And I picked up the business card, and my exact words were, Pat, I found what you're looking for. Now, I meant it from a business point of view. I find this incredible company with integrity and ethics. I find this powerful health technology, and there's tremendous financial opportunity. That's what I meant it. But I didn't know she was on her hands and knees praying for a solution, asking God, you know what I'm looking for. And so to this day, she still calls me her angel, which drives my wife Tanya nuts. But what happened was I started sharing this technology with her. And 4 months later, this woman is 100% back to herself. And she's now gone on and written 3 books on her memoirs. She's a very spiritual woman, written 3 books in her memoirs. But when she was at my house visiting back a few years ago, she gave me this beautiful little clock and pen set. And that is, I share that story because that is how our business intertwines with impacting people's lives. This isn't just any ordinary business. This is about bringing something truly life-changing to the marketplace. And I call it my noble purpose. My noble purpose is to transform lives physically and financially, harnessing the power of redox signaling molecules and the ASEA Redox technology. So that's a little bit of kind of where we are today, but a little bit of
Alan, what does it say on the clock and pen set? Thank you for
it says
saving
thank
my
you
life.
for saving my life.
Beautiful. And what's your perspective after all these years of thinking about the coinciding of your name and your noble purpose?
Well, I used to have to tell people, hey, Alan Noble, like Barnes and Noble, unfortunately no relation. So I've had to go make my own living in the world, you know. But yeah, you know, it is truly a noble purpose, and I think one of the true purposes of our life is to find our purpose, and I feel, and it was just an intuitive understanding and knowing, and we can talk about my first meeting with the key people in ASEA 17 years ago, but I just felt this deep knowing, like this is my purpose. This is why I'm here, is to use whatever skills I have to try and bring this cutting edge, never seen before technology, truly, maybe easily 10, 15 years ahead of its time, maybe even 20 years ahead of its time, to bring this to the world so that people can grasp it, have that aha moment where they have that courage to say, okay, I'm gonna give this a go. I'm gonna see what this does for me. And it's been incredibly rewarding. But it's not just health. The number one contributor to our body entering a state of dis-ease is stress. And one of the biggest contributors to stress, yeah, we've got chemical stress, environmental stress, all these other stress and toxins, but emotional stress. And the number one emotional stress is financial stress. And people are living on a very, very fine line by the time they've paid all their expenses and their budgets and everything else. And now you've got AI coming in, and a lot of people have got financial uncertainty ahead of them, job insecurity ahead of them. And so this financial stress can be really challenging. So I am as passionate about helping people with their financial health as I am helping them with their physical strength, their physical health. And I find that ASEA is a beautiful pathway for both of them. And that's why I say my noble purpose is to transform lives physically and financially, harnessing the power of ASEA and our redox signaling technology.
Alan, you brought up something that's really important to me, and we talk about this a lot in our community around AI, and we use AI all the time. There's lots of great uses for it. There's also a lot of negative side effects just in the environment and all kinds of political stuff. But just as far as what it's going to impact with jobs, and it already has. I mean, we're already seeing these numbers. The future is going to have more of that same. How does that play into everything that you're talking about here?
Well, I think two of my favorite words are authenticity and transparency. They're words I try and live my life by. And I think there's a lot of hype in the world. And truly, I think a very negative side of AI is nothing's real anymore. It's all just cartoons. You on a Facebook, and it's just digitalized cartoons of people. In fact, I saw this one business leader using an AI avatar of himself. So he fed it a script. The avatar is speaking his script. Of course, he looks 10 years younger as the avatar. Do you notice everybody's avatar is a little prettier, a little healthier, a little younger looking? Anyway, and so it's not him. It's a fake AI avatar of him. And he's talking about the importance of authenticity and transparency. And I'm going, do you not see the irony? Now, I can certainly use AI. I mean, what it can do for like lip sync translations, how it can help us build internationally. I mean, it's a tremendous tool, but I think it's really, really important that we never lose our authenticity and transparency. And I believe, like my kids won't touch AI.
Isn't it funny? Same thing. My kids hate it. They love technology. They hate AI. We just did a whole blog about that.
Yeah, they want. I mean, they see an AI video on social media, they just shut it down. In fact, they kind of hate on it. They do not like it. And I think right now we're at this place where it's like everybody's using it to create silly little pictures of themselves and cartoons and, you know, all this stuff. And I'm kind of going, hey, you're burning a lot of the resources to create this little stupid cartoon. If you knew how much cooling power it took to make AI stuff, you know. But I do think it's going to find its place, but it's not going to replace that beautiful human interaction. That transparency and authenticity that we communicate as real human beings. And what we do in helping, you know, in building our distribution networks of people connecting with people. AI is not going to replace that. It can help us. As I said, I look at it certainly for translations. I can use AI to have me speaking Mandarin. It's going to be a lifetime or two before I could learn Mandarin. And yet I can use AI to successfully communicate Mandarin to a whole new audience. Okay. But what I do at the beginning of any videos, I say, this video is generated using AI tools. I make it very clear anytime I'm using AI because I want people to know the authentic, real me. This is me. This is me. I'm not a digitalized AI version here talking to you, okay?
Right.
So
there's the authenticity part, but then there's also the job displacement and the job insecurity that's ahead, especially for wellness professionals.
yeah,
It just seems like this is such a um, devastating fear, but yet there's opportunity that people may not be aware of.
yeah. So, you know, what we do, it can't be replaced by robots, not successfully. Because again, it's about the relationship. You know, our business model is called many things: network marketing, word of mouth referral marketing, MLM. I don't particularly care for that. That's actually more of a compensation plan description.
Right.
But it's, you know, it's called many different things. But I love calling it relationship marketing. I like calling it educational marketing. That's really the way I look at it. It's about connecting with people, educating them on something that they don't know exists yet because it's so ahead of its time, and then building those relationships over time. You know, I have people that I've worked with now for 17 years in ASEA, and the relationships that we've built, like family, the friendships that you build. An AI can't replace those human relationships. A robot can't replace those human relationships. It can help you with the education side of it, absolutely, like in language translations or many different ways. But it will never replace the relationship. And our entire business is built on that relationship. So I look at this as a very safe place for people who are perhaps concerned about job insecurity.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, job security is an oxymoron right now.
Mm.
People should be, it's interesting, Mark. One of the flaws of human thinking is, well, I look at a plan B when I need a plan B. The time to look for a plan B is when you don't need it. The time to look for a plan B income is actually when your plan A income is going really well. But you got to think ahead. I think everybody should learn the game of chess. I think it should be mandatory in schools. You should learn how to play chess, because chess is one of the greatest games to teach you consequences and to think ahead. If I move here, this might happen, and then I could move here. And you've got to develop that ability of strategic thinking. And most people don't. I'm happy in my plan A income, and it's only when stuff happens, they lose that job, all of a sudden they've been living right up to the edge of their bank account, and now they're in trouble. But this isn't the time to be thinking about a plan B.
I'm 20 years from retirement. I don't even need to be thinking about that yet.
Yeah.
I'll just get my Social Security to take care of me.
I want to jump in. You just said a really important phrase, Alan, to those of us familiar with ASEA and leadership. You said strategic thinking.
Yeah.
And talk about coincidence. One of the great coincidences of the last 25 years or so was the coincidence of one of the great strategic thinkers of our business minds, Vertus Norton, with the discovery of these amazing little molecules. So, and what you were just talking about, the human touch, relationship marketing, the coinciding of strategic thinking and empathy. This is Vertus and Tyler Norton. So maybe now is a good time to bring us back to where you were 17 years ago, before you ever heard the words redox signaling molecules, and how all that happened, and how it changed your life and many others.
Yeah. Well, it starts 17 years ago, and I read a little meme on Facebook. It said, "The Irish have no idea how to cut a long story short," but I will do my best here.
Feel free.
So, I graduated with a degree in international finance from Queen's University, Belfast, Ireland, and without again boasting or bragging, I graduated top of my class, ready to walk into whatever career I wanted in that field. The only problem was I discovered I was psychologically unemployable. I didn't want to clock in and clock out for the next 40 years. I mean, it was just mind-numbing to me. I was having panic attacks just thinking about it. And so I ended up starting a master's in finance. I got on the academic treadmill to try and postpone reality for a little bit longer. And I started my master's in finance, and it was right when I began that, I was given a little book called The Boom Business of the 90s. There it is. Oh, I have it up here. There it is there, The Boom Business of the 90s. And this little book, 96-page book, it's not in print anymore, but it described the business model of word-of-mouth referral marketing. And as an economics major and a finance major, I'm going, this is the most astonishing business model I've ever seen. I mean, this is allowing you to harness leveraged income, residual income, global income with no upfront risk, no employees, weave it part-time. Back then a home-based business, today it's a phone-based business. I mean, the most astonishing business I've ever seen. And so I was so enamored by the business model, I actually walked out of a master's in international finance. And I did not know that I was interested in health and wellness. I gave up biology at like age 13 in school because they weren't teaching the good stuff. It was all about leaves and frogs, and it was taking too long to get to the good stuff. So I gave up biology at a very early age, one of the first subjects I gave up. And if you had asked me at 18, 19, 20 that I'd end up in the health and wellness field, I would have laughed at you. But through this business model, I was exposed to some really cutting-edge nutritional supplementation. And it was in that education process, I really began to become fascinated at how the body heals itself. And at that time, the importance of nutrition, your phytonutrients, your bioflavonoids, your vitamins, your minerals, your trace minerals, your omegas, your 3-6 balances, your probiotics, all of that stuff, which you know a lot more than I do, Russell. But that's where my journey started. And but through that journey in this business model, I came to a place where I began to realize most of the products out there, I'm not saying they're bad products, but from a marketing point of view, most of them were kind of same old, same old, same old. And it felt very much like, hey, my daddy can beat up your daddy. You know, my super juice is better than your super juice. My probiotics got a higher colonizing unit than your probiotic. You know, my ORAC score is higher than it. Just everything. It was just a mishmash of very same old products. And as an entrepreneur, I was looking for something unique. I wanted to tell a story that had never been told before. Now, I'm not a great salesperson. I am a good teacher. Teaching is really my profession. I used to teach classical flute to 6th graders to 12th graders, you know? So if you can teach a kid to play the Mozart flute concerto, you can teach somebody redox signaling molecules. You know, it's just taking the complex and breaking it down into simple bite-sized chunks. So I'm a teacher by nature, not a sales guy. And so for me, I had to always feel like I was truly representing the best that the world had to offer. And I couldn't find that in the nutritional space. The other thing I was struggling to find as an entrepreneur was a company I could trust, a company of integrity, a company of ethics. Sometimes in the entrepreneurial world, you get to a certain level where you peek behind the curtain like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, and you realize the wizard's not real. Just some old guy pulling levers, pretending to be something they're not. And I saw a lot of that in the entrepreneurial space. And so those were the two things I was looking for: a cutting edge, never seen before, health technology, and a company I could trust. So here's what happens. Remember that long story short? Here we go. I'm going to cut a long story short. So here's what happens. In 2009, my dad gets sick with a very serious health challenge. And I go, well, what happened was he went on some treatments for 3 months. The treatments, there was no benefit. The scans showed no change. And he was also told, look, you've got to do at least another 3 months, but you'll probably have permanent lung damage from the treatments. And so I said to my dad, tell your doctors you need to take a breather, literally, and I'm going to go find the most powerful health technology I can find. I was not looking for a business. I was very busy doing other things entrepreneurially, but I was looking for the most powerful health technology for my father. And I am a big believer. If you want to call it the power of prayer, or you want to call it the power of intention backed by emotion, I believe both are the same. There is something, and again, this is where we go right back to where we started. There's no such thing as a coincidence, it's coincidences. And within 5 days of starting that search, there were no websites, there were no videos, there was nothing up explaining this technology. But within 5 days of starting that search, I heard the words redox signaling molecules. Now, the fascinating thing for me, what got me on a plane to fly to Salt Lake City, to meet the atomic physicist, to meet the founder of ASEA, wasn't that I understood redox signaling molecules. Wasn't that I went, oh, redox signaling molecules, wow, those are foundational to the entire signaling system of the body. Oh, let me go hear about this. I went, redox what? In fact, for about a year, I called it Redox. I couldn't pronounce it properly, you know? And so I'd never heard of these things. And that's what got me. I thought I was a pretty smart layman in the world of health and wellness. You know, I'd made it a point of studying health and wellness, but that had all been around kind of nutrition and ingredients. And all of a sudden, here's an entirely different category of product. I'm going, I have no idea what this is. Now, what really triggered my attention was I heard that it had a significant impact on glutathione. And I was very familiar with glutathione back in 2009, you know? And so I got on a plane.
Give us the quick cliff note. What is glutathione for people who may not know?
So glutathione is the body's master antioxidant. It is the king of antioxidants, and antioxidants' power to neutralize free radicals really come from their surface area. A very simple way of think about fly paper. You know, you could take a little square inch of fly paper and you might catch one fly, but if I cover my entire wall with fly paper, this massive surface area, I can catch hundreds of flies, okay? So don't think of those flies like the free radicals. And the greater the surface area of the fly paper, the more flies you're going to catch. Well, very similar concept of the size of the antioxidant, or another way to think of it is light bulbs. You know the way you get a little keychain at Christmas, like a Brookstone keychain that's got the little LED in the end, okay? A tiny little bulb, that's a tiny little antioxidant. Imagine a massive big halogen light bulb in a football field. That's glutathione, okay? So whatever analogy you want to use, glutathione is the halogen. Glutathione is the wallpaper of fly paper. And with that comes a lot of challenges, by the way, because you can't absorb glutathione supplements. They're pretty much useless because the molecule's so big. And so then people go into nano and liposomal. Well, here's the other challenge. If it's kind of like testosterone supplementation, your body starts to shut down its own production. And so the best form of glutathione production or supplementation is helping your body make its own glutathione. And I don't know if we'll have time to get into some of our science studies, but we do that very, very, very successfully. So,
Alan, sorry to interrupt. So basically what you're saying is if the human body can produce normal levels of glutathione, they're going to have a much better chance of staying healthy or regaining their health. And if people have low levels of glutathione, then they could be at risk for all kinds of health challenges. And so what got your attention in those early days was that the redox signaling supplement caused the body to produce more glutathione, which you knew and recognized as a very important thing.
Yeah, and it was happening endogenous. Big difference between exogenous, outside the body, endogenous, inside the body. And I knew the challenges with exogenous glutathione supplementation because of the size of the molecule. So here's some endogenous glutathione production inside your cells, basically helping your cells function properly. And I got the importance of that, but I didn't understand redox signaling molecules. So I jumped on a plane, I flew to Salt Lake City, and I met two incredible human beings. One was the smartest man I ever met, an atomic physicist that literally achieved what science had said for 2 decades could not be done. It was impossible. And that was the stabilization of these redox signaling molecules outside the body. Redox signaling molecules are high energy, very fleeting molecules. I call them fleeting angels. They do their good work, pop, 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 signal, signal, and they're gone. Okay? And science basically said it was impossible to stabilize something so reactive, so fleeting, so high energy outside the human body. Couldn't be done. And basically for 2 decades, they just said that's the way it is. In other words, there will never be a redox signaling supplement. Well, this guy, the scientist, he cracked the code. He figured it out. And I will tell you, in private conversations, he believed the inspiration came from above. And he does not take the full credit for it. He gives some divine credit to that. I mean, it truly is a breakthrough. It's one of the biggest breakthroughs of our lifetime, the stabilization of these high energy molecules. And so he began to explain, and again, an atomic medical physicist is one of the smartest people you'll ever meet. So he's up here talking all this stuff, and I'm asking dumb questions. Well, so do you mean this? And he goes, yeah, well, it's kind of like that. And I go, well, does that mean this? And I'm trying to just bring it down to that 6th grade level because I'm a teacher. I want to be able to teach it. I want to be able to understand it and then teach it. And so we finally came to a place where I said, so doc, let me ask you this. If your cells can't signal, really little else matters. And he goes, that's it. And I go, okay, I get it. And then I came up with this simple analogy. I said, so it's kind of like your house is on fire and you call the fire department, and it doesn't matter how good the fire department is. They can have the best big red trucks and all the firefighters and fire hose and ladders and everything else to put out the fire. But what if they don't get the signal to the fire station? They don't know what the problem is, where the problem is, how serious the problem is. Your home's going up in smoke. And I began to realize, gosh, all of the products that I'd been marketing in the past, all the products that I'd been aware of, were all focusing on the fire truck. Hey, we need a bigger fire truck. Oh, it needs to be a brighter red. Whoa, we need bigger tires. Oh, we need more firefighters. We need a taller ladder. We need a stronger fire hose. Maybe we need 2 fire hoses. And that's all great if they get the signal. And then I began to get introduced to this whole concept that the signaling in our body is reduced by about 10% every decade. So by age 50, which I think we're probably all around or thereabouts, by age 50, we're working about half the signaling that we had as a kid. And we wonder why things don't work like they used to, you know? And so I got these simple concepts. Look, the redox biochemistry is very, very complex. That's where you want to listen to Dr. Lee Osler and people much smarter than me. But I like to teach basic concepts, and I could understand the concept of signaling. If your cells cannot signal their messages for health, healing, and vitality, then it is a foundational piece of health. And what we discovered later on is it's not just signaling at the cellular level, but it's signaling at the genetic level. Your body, your DNA, you contain all of this information to run your body. But it has to be signaled through these gene pathways. We call that genetic expression, like a mother expressing milk. It's the same root word, genetic expression. And many people are, by the time they hit 50, their genetic expression is like internet dial-up, you know, and they're wondering why things aren't working properly. You start drinking these molecules, you start increasing your signaling, and all of a sudden you're on high fiber internet, and messages are signaling and communicating, and you're tapping into your body's natural cellular intelligence, and your body knows exactly what to do with it. And that's the power of this. I mean, maybe I'm stepping ahead a little bit. I get excited about it. But so...
no, it's what you just described is innate resilience.
That's it.
The body is the miracle. And if signaling is able to be normalized, then the body is capable of all these amazing things: the detection of problems, the repair of problems, the removal of toxins, the restoration of normal. And it doesn't matter, you know, what organ or system or cell or what function. Every organ, every system, every cell requires this redox signaling, or it doesn't, or nothing happens.
Yeah.
It really is a breakthrough. So take us back to Salt Lake City. You were there in Salt Lake City looking for a technology, a health technology for your dad. And then you met Dr. Gary Samuelson, the atomic medical physicist, and that's where you learned about if your cells can't signal, nothing else matters. And then you met Vertus and Tyler Norton.
Yeah, so I met Vertus, and you know, just a remarkable man. He had bought this technology from a struggling biotech company, struggling because they couldn't stabilize the molecules. But they knew there was power in the molecules. And he had put together a small investor group to take this technology. Again, as you said earlier, he's a strategic genius. I mean, he was the VP of strategy for Kraft Foods. I mean, he strategically managed a $36 billion portfolio. So he was certainly the most successful businessman that I'd ever sat next to. So I just went from the smartest scientist I'd ever met, and then in the next room, here's the smartest businessman I'd ever met. And Vertus began to share what we call the Genesis story, where the business plan was to strategically bring in the right people, figure out how to stabilize this technology. Don't take impossible as the answer. Figure out how to do it, and basically create stabilized redox signaling molecules outside the body. First time ever been done. And they did that. They achieved that breakthrough somewhere, I think it was around 2007, maybe 2008. And their goal was to sell it to the pharmaceutical company. That was the whole business plan. That was purely the business plan. You and I should not be talking right now about this. But what they did is there was $5 million worth of toxicity research to show there was no toxicity. Very, very safe technology. It's native to the body. Your body's already making redox signaling molecules. That's what's in a bottle of ASEA. There is no toxicity. You can drink a bottle of the stuff. You can spray it in your eyes. You can put it up your nose. We have colon therapists that, well, I'll not go into where they put it. So there's all sorts of things that you can do with this technology. It's very, very safe. So they started a handful of people, 40 people, drinking the molecules. And many of those people began to get remarkable results. Now, I want to stress something here. There's no compensation structure in place to reward these referrals. But these 40 people, because of the power of the product, without any financial compensation, they said, hey, Mark, I'm taking something. It's making a huge difference. You deserve to know about this. And it gradually spread, and within a few months went from 40 people to 135 people. Just natural, organic growth. Why? Because the technology was getting results. It was changing people's lives. And so when Virtus kind of took some inventory of these 135 people now using the technology, there were 6 or 7, I think it was 7 people who were, how can I word this compliantly? Their lives were being improved in very, very significant ways. And he was deeply concerned about taking the technology away from them. And part of the deal of selling it to Big Pharma was, hey, Big Pharma said, you want this check? And it was a big check, tens of millions of dollars. You want this check? Everybody comes off the product. And Virtus just could not bring himself to take those handful of people that he was aware of, to take this technology away from them and take their health away from them. And the truth is, the pharmaceutical company, he said, look, if I take this away, they'll maybe die. And the pharmaceutical company said, let them die. People die every day. Now, I want to stress something here, because this is really important. This is an insight into who ASEA is. And to me, who ASEA is as important as what ASEA is. One does not exist without the other. Okay? And this is where there's no such thing as a coincidence, only coincidences. This technology was meant to land in Virtus Norton's hands. It's no coincidence that Virtus Norton's daughter, Nancy, her next door neighbor was Dr. Gary Samuelson, the atomic physicist that stabilized the molecules. There's no such thing as a coincidence. This was destiny, okay? And so this technology, so Virtus, I want people to understand this. We're talking 2008 now, the worst recession since the Great Depression, okay? With Virtus is 69 years of age. He set this up as a very quick flip to sell it to Big Pharma for a big payout. He's got a product made from salt and water in Salt Lake City with molecules nobody's ever heard of. And to be quite honest, when people first drink it, it tastes a little bit like pool water. And I always ask people, what would you do? What would you do? And I guarantee you 99.9% of people would have taken the money and run. And again, it's no coincidence that this technology landed in Virtus Norton's hands. And he said no to the payout. And he said yes to a handful of people. And said yes to a set of principles. His son Tyler Norton teaches that principles are concentrated truths. They don't change based on how big the check is. It's easy to say no if it was maybe $500,000. It's harder to say no when it's tens of millions. But principles don't change based on the size of the check. That's concentrated truths. And so this is a company that is driven by concentrated truths, by principle, by integrity, by a greater purpose. And when I heard that message, and remember the two things I was looking for, an exceptional, unique product, a story that had never been told before. And I just spent a couple of hours with an atomic physicist basically telling me, if your cells can't signal, nothing else matters, and we have signaling in a bottle for the first time in human history. Check. Now, the second thing I'm looking for is a company of integrity. That when I do peek behind the curtain, it's a real wizard and not just some old guy pulling levers. And here's a man, I'm hearing him sacrifice a generational wealth for a handful of people. And I go, this is a man I could work for. In fact, for the first time in my life, I'm psychologically unemployable. And for the first time in 15 years, I heard a little voice saying, I wouldn't mind working for this guy. And in some ways, truthfully, I like to think that's what I've done over the last 17 years, is I've taken his message of redox signaling and the power of this technology and go share it around the world. But that was the beginning of my journey, and there was the two check boxes. That's what I was looking for, to be a happy entrepreneur. And that was the beginning of the adventure. Now, to cut a long story short,
Here we are.
Shorter.
let me tell you what happened to my dad. So my dad, I got some product. I started shipping it back to Ireland. He was probably the first guy in Ireland to drink the molecules. We didn't open Europe until, gosh, 2012. So, you know, this was 3 years ahead of that. And all I can tell you is my father never went back on his treatments. And 4 months into drinking ASEA Redox, he was given a clean bill of health from his doctors. And that challenge never came back to haunt him again. But he was not my first testimonial. My wife, Tanya, who you know, Russell, was my first testimonial. So Tanya had all sorts of aches and pains in her body from the birth of my first daughter. And it was a pretty tough birth. And for 10 months after the birth, she's in agony. And the simplest tasks, you know, pushing the buggy, bathing the baby, just lifting in and out of the cot, all sorts of challenges that most mothers would take for granted. It was tremendous discomfort through her body, her hips, her lower back, down her leg. And again, I'm 15 years in the health and wellness space, and I'm trying all these different products. You know, I'm treating her like a guinea pig. Here, drink this. Here, take this. Take these pills. Do this. We're seeing specialists, acupuncture, acupressure, physiotherapists, chiropractors, massage therapists, bought a new mattress for the bed. Tried all sorts of things over 10 months. Nothing worked. I came home with a beautiful blue bottle to ship to my dad, but we cracked open a bottle. Okay, so we crack open a bottle and we take. I think that day we may have just taken 4 ounces that day, or maybe 6 because we were excited. It was new, 4 to 6 ounces, and my wife goes to bed that night, and she wakes up the next morning. Zero discomfort for the first time in 10 months. That was my massive aha moment. That's when I knew this technology could do things that no other technology can do, because it contains things that no other product on the planet contains, and that is these powerful high energy redox signaling molecules. And the analogy I kind of came up with, as a teacher I like my analogies, is, here's my wife in discomfort and I'm coming home with light bulbs. Go back to that light bulb example, like antioxidants are like light bulbs. And I'm coming back, hey, try this light bulb. So she's sitting in the dark. That's the analogy. She's sitting in the dark and I'm coming with these light bulbs. And I'm buying really expensive designer light bulbs at Nordstrom's, okay, and Neiman Marcus. And then I'm buying some cheap light bulbs at 7-Eleven. And I'm trying all these different light bulbs and big light bulbs and small light bulbs. She's still sitting in the dark. Then one day, I came home with the power supply and boom, it was like flicking a light switch. And this is what I've discovered over and over and over again in the last 17 years. I probably interviewed as many people as anyone in ASEA on their experiences with this product. And over and over and over again, the same story, the missing link. I tried all these products, no benefit, marginal benefit. Then I tried ASEA and it changed my life, because it's addressing the body at a place where no other product addresses. It's that foundational space. The house has to sit on the foundation, and you can have the best building blocks in the world. So in our body, yeah, you need the calcium and the magnesium and the boron and the strontium and the trace minerals and all of this stuff. You need those building blocks. But if you've cracks in your foundation, it's only a matter of time till those cracks appear in your home. If you've cracks in your signaling, there's only a matter of time till those cracks appear in your health. And so for me, and again, I've heard medical professional after medical professional and health professional say, you know what, there's a lot of great products out there. But if you had to limit me to one product, I could only take one product for the rest of my life, it would be the big blue bottle, because it addresses our health at the most foundational level, impacts every system, every organ, every function of our body. And there is no other supplement on the planet that compares to it.
Ooh.
Wow.
Sorry, I got on a little soapbox there.
I love it.
It's been absolutely wonderful, practical, easy to understand, comprehensive explanation, answers to our three questions, Alan. So thank you very much. It's been absolutely perfect in every way imaginable. If you're hearing this for the first time, you'll want to go back and listen again, because understanding what Alan has shared today, what redox signaling molecules are, why they're so important, and the opportunities that are created, opportunities for recovering your health, restoring function, and opportunities, if you're so inclined, to make a difference in the lives of other people. I don't think I've heard a better comprehensive explanation in my 15 years of association with this wonderful product and wonderful company. So thank you so much, Alan. Mark, is there anything you want to ask Alan before we say goodbye and let him travel back to Ireland in a couple of weeks?
One, I just want to say thank you so much, Alan. One, for hearing the call and being so committed to your dad and the science of it, and then to being able to carry this work forward and being able to be an ambassador of education around the world. I know you just got back from Asia and are traveling all the time, taking time to share this message with our audience. We're very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Again, what do they say? Work's not work when you love what you do. And what's there not to love about impacting people's lives physically and financially? Maybe just to finish here, if I can just speak to the entrepreneurs.
Please.
Okay, to really speak to the entrepreneurs. We are living in challenging times financially, and it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And you've got to take back control of your financial future. Nobody's coming to save you. Okay, and I just want to maybe finish just very clearly stating the opportunity that we have in this business. A couple of things I'll just share. Number one, consider this. We have a technology with no equals. It's a high impact product that absolutely transforms people's lives. As I said, for many, it's the missing link. Number two, no competition, no copycats. 17 years later, we are still the one and only. This technology is backed by 7 patents and over 1,000 trade secrets. Nobody's even close. In fact, we've now launched our 2nd generation of this technology before even anyone catches up with the 1st generation. Think about that. That doesn't happen. Think of any industry out there where somebody has already developed the 2nd generation and still nobody is even close to the 1st generation. That's where we are. Okay, so no competition, no copycats. And finally, virtually nobody knows about this. We are still the best kept secret in health and wellness. And it's because we haven't been out there beating our chest. We've just been quietly behind the scenes, changing people's lives. And a high impact product with no competition and virtually nobody knows about it. You don't have to be the smartest entrepreneur to figure out there's opportunity. If you've got one entrepreneurial blood cell floating around your body somewhere, grab hold of it and realize what I am presenting to you here. Now, the last thing I want to share is we are truly just getting started in ASEA. And that sounds like such a cliche. So give me 60 seconds to explain. I often tell people we have just finished laying the foundation for ASEA. And now we enter our exciting growth period. And people will come back and go, hold on a second, Alan. It doesn't take 16, 17 years to lay the foundation of a company. And I pause and I say, yeah, normally it doesn't. But it does when you have a technology that the world has never seen before. You have to understand that when I started this journey, we could not find a university that understood our technology. We couldn't find a university that understood our technology, let alone could help us validate it. Today, we have universities reaching out to us, wanting to partner with us. Universities are getting multi-million-dollar grants to study redox biochemistry, to study what's inside this bottle. They get it. So when we say we have a technology 10 to 15 years ahead of its time, that's not a marketing phrase. That's not an exaggeration. That's an absolute fact. And so it took us a lot longer because our technology is so advanced. It took us much, much longer to truly lay the foundation, the validation, the credibility of truly what this technology is. And that took 15, 16, 17 years. That foundation is now laid. Now, we had a lot of success in that time. We've done almost $2 billion in sales, almost, okay? We've had tremendous success. We've changed a lot of lives physically and financially. But guys, the big journey is still ahead of us. And people sometimes ask me, Alan, could you retire? And I go, yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't you? And I go, well, why would I miss the party? I've just spent 17 years getting ready for the party, and now the party's about to begin. And so it's too easy just to say, oh, the timing's perfect. I want to explain why. And so I'm talking to the people out there that really might be looking to grab hold of this as an entrepreneurial venture. The timing has never been better here. This is the most exciting time we will see in ASEA history. The next 3 to 5 to 7 years will literally create financial destiny for people. So I just want to finish on that and make it very, very clear where we are on this journey.
Beautiful. Well said.
I love that you're
so
sharing
much.
that, because one of the things that we include below, along with links on how to connect with a noble purpose, is also how to connect with either Russell or myself to learn more about it, and how to, like you said, grab this by the horns and be able to ride into the party.
Yeah, make a living while making a difference. That's what we do.
That last few minutes, Alan, I think that's the recipe for becoming a happy entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you so much. This was absolutely my favorite episode so far. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Russell. Thank you, Russell. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you both. Bye-bye.
Enjoy Ireland. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much for spending time with us today on the Redox podcast. We hope you found it interesting and inspiring. We invite you to take action today. Please reach out to the person who invited you to this podcast. And if that person was Mark or Russell, please reach out to either of us using the links in the show notes below. We look forward to connecting with you soon.